Trade live events in real time. Trading the U.S. Open and NFL games. How the surge in retail trading has now opened the door to new, non-traditional markets to trade. All this today and more on the Futures Radio Show podcast with founder and CEO of Ball Street Trading, Scott San Emeterio. Futures Radio Show is sponsored by CME Group. They are the world's leading and most diverse futures and options exchange. CME Group's markets help individuals and businesses around the world effectively manage risk. For access to free educational tools and resources for the active individual trader, please visit activetrader.cmegroup.com. For new show notifications, please subscribe to Futures Radio Show podcast on iTunes, YouTube, Google Podcasts, Spotify, or Stitcher. This show is also sponsored by Trading Technologies, RJO Futures, and FTSE Russell. The Russell 2000 is a key benchmark for small cap U.S. stocks. Be sure to check out the E-Mini Russell 2000 futures symbol RTY and Micro E-Mini Russell 2000 futures symbol M2K. To learn more about FTSE Russell and their products, please visit FTSERussell.com.
Great to be back, Anthony. I've been a big fan, and after the last time we got a chance to spoke, there was a great outreach from your listeners and a lot of people reaching out, asking how they can help and just really looking to learn more about what we're doing, and it was just an unbelievable experience the last time.
Well, that's awesome. I so many of us as traders, we really are into sports, and this is, I remember when we first spoke and we talked about how, well, your company is called Ball Street Trading, and how I was thinking that it's like each day, really, there's a new market to trade, and it's live, and we talk about trading price action. Well, this is actually trading the action in the game, and it's kind of like a future, but it's not, and you're engaged with the game and you're trading. And some people are probably like, I'm not sure exactly what Anthony means by this. So I think for those of you that didn't catch the podcast with Scott and I, when we did it, I think it was over a year ago. Tell everybody what Ball Street Trading is.
Yeah, so Ball Street is a real-time prediction market that lets fans compete against each other in real time while they're watching any live event. We've basically created a contest or tournament structure around your ability to watch any of these games and give players total control to buy and sell shares of their favorite outcomes and teams while they're watching. So for us, it's about really giving control back to the players. My background is obviously in trading. I was a big poker player back in the day, and I don't bet on sports. And I felt like I never had control while I was making that bet against the sports book. So that's really where the idea of Ball Street came to be. We give everyone a portfolio of assets. So you would get 100 shares of the Steelers, 100 shares of the Giants, and a couple $1,000s in virtual currency. And everyone then is basically able to trade against each other in the market. It's completely real time and it's completely peer-to-peer. So if you're able to basically get in front of all of the trends that are ultimately going to come out in this game, you should probably be a pretty successful trader.
I love it, and it's so cool to watch how a new market comes out for each and every game. I want to actually go over an example. I mean, the highlight game of the weekend was, I would say, the Tom Brady game, versus Drew Brees. Walk us through how the market sets up for that. How does do you guys have an opening price for the Bucks and the Saints, and walk us through the entire process of how it begins and then ends.
Yeah, so we were looking at the schedule for opening weekend, and we wanted to basically pick the games that everyone's going to be wanting to watch. And obviously, when you have Tom Brady coming back playing the Saints in New Orleans, that was obviously the one we wanted for that 4:00 window. So for that game, for us internally, it's a little bit of a debate always whether we want to include the spread or not. And for that game, we thought it was close enough that we could just actually IPO the game based on whatever implied odds we figured the money line would rest on from a gambling sense. So I want to say we opened that game at 57-43 in favor of the Saints. And then that market opened up. And then from that point forward, it was completely in the hands of the traders. We saw a ton of pre-market action to where people were buying Tampa Bay to where I think they were almost trading at par with each other before the actual game started. And, Brady went down that first drive, scored a touchdown, and next thing you know, they're actually trading as the favorite. The rest of that half sort of slipped away a little bit after a couple of turnovers, but it was great to sort of see both in those aspects. All of the people who put the premium on Brady and what potentially the Bucs could do in that game, but also you had a favored team in the Saints where they were trading pretty consistently north of 60 for that first half. And that's just really the baked in that people weren't ready to sell those shares just yet, even though they were down right in that first, after that first drive, 7-0. So there's always this balance of the perception of what you feel is going to happen for the game, and then ultimately what you're actually seeing on the field. And it's really the balance of those two that are going to dictate what that price action is going to look like.
So the total number of the two teams can never equal more than 100. So 60 means basically 60% of the money of the trading is going towards that team.
So when we IPO the market, that's right. The total sum of the prices will equal 100. And at the end of the game, the shares of the winning team will equal 100 and the shares of the losing team will equal 0. But during the game itself, we actually have two independent markets. So those markets can trade however they want. So that's part of the strategy, to where you potentially could have both teams trading north of 50, which would imply an overbought market because there's more cash in the market. And one of those teams is obviously valued a little bit higher, considering that one of the teams is going to be valued at 0 at the end of it. So it's for us really trying to create this experience where we want engagement. That's our focus. We want you as a trader to be involved in every decision that you're ultimately making and why you're buying and selling shares. We think that if you had a market where it was strictly a sum of 100, where if a price of one went up by 1, the other one had to go down, it would remove a lot of the volatility when we have a tightly scored game, especially in the NBA when you have teams that are just going back by a couple of baskets. There's really not much reason why you would think one team would all of a sudden be 60% to win versus another team that would be 40% to win. With the NFL, certainly a touchdown wants that price action wants to move. So by creating independent markets, we allow the market to really dictate where that price is going. I want to say for some of these games for this past weekend, we had certainly opportunities where teams were both trading around 60. And if you're someone who looks at it from a strategical point, you know that at some point the bubble is going to pop and one of those 60s is going to trade down to 45 pretty quickly when something happens for the other team.
So right now this is free, right?
That's right. Right now, we are going forward with a free-to-play model. As we look at the space post-PASPA in the gaming world, it's next to impossible for a startup to really consider real money gaming with all of the individual state legislature and regulations with the Wire Act. So for us, it's really about looking at the engagement we're able to create through our real-time markets and offer it as an engagement tool and invite brands who want to come in and speak to our fans and our users intra-game. So they get to tell their story while you yourself are watching Monday Night Football. We then ultimately bring in that ad spend and use that to create the incentive for our players to ultimately compete against each other. For us, it's a win for everyone because we like to consider that we're going to basically monetize the fans' engagement of watching and playing that game. The brands get to win because they now get to associate themselves to whatever live event's going on. They get huge amounts of engagement. They get all of the data behind that, and they get the affinity of potentially giving away coupons, promotions, or even cash out to these players in the name of their brand. So, we like to say, at least on the East Coast here, if we had someone like Dunkin' Donuts, you could be watching and playing a game. And if you win that game, you're going to get a donut and a cup of coffee tomorrow because you're in the top 20%. That's a win for everybody.
Yeah, so all it takes is for a trader to just go in, open up an account. It's free. And then you said that once you have that account open, everyone gets 100 shares for every game. So that's the max you can get, right?
Everyone gets 100 shares per team. So
per team.
if we're talking golf, you'd get 100 shares per golfer. It's just ultimately, if you think of it like almost like a poker tournament, everyone starts with the same number of chips. Same concept here. So everyone gets the same portfolio, and now it's up to you to basically manage and trade in and out of that portfolio to basically create the highest P&L compared to everybody else.
Gotcha. Well, you mentioned golf. Let's just go there. We got the U.S. Open coming out this weekend. Everyone knows I'll be watching that. I mean, I love golf. It's my favorite sport. And how does that work as you have individuals now? Does each individual have their own market? How do you price out? I mean, we know Tiger's probably always going to have some premium just because the level of excitement that he draws. But how do you go into a market for each individual golfer?
So we've been running PGA markets now all summer, and we've actually had a lot of fun markets already this year. So we're hopeful for the U.S. Open to give us a little something special. What we've been doing to try to focus everyone on, the most volatile markets is create markets for the Sunday final round. What we've been doing is taking the final two pairings and the field, so a total of 5 golfers. We've also, from time to time, slipped in another big name that might just be off the leaderboard just for fun, because, like you said, with the Tiger example, people want to trade those big names, right? So if he's anywhere near there, we're probably going to put him up there just because it's more fun to have him up there than not. So it works very much like the same way with the two-team matches, where everyone will be priced based on their implied odds going into that Sunday final round. So like last week, or maybe it was 2 weeks ago, like when Dustin Johnson has a 5-stroke lead, we put a 50 on him, and then everyone else under him will eventually fall into line, and you just let him basically trade against the world. So the same type of thing will occur on Sunday, where we'll look at the leaderboard, we'll give everyone an implied odd, we'll IPO that market, and then from there it's basically hands off, and the traders in the market will ultimately decide if DJ is going up or down. And as each hole, or basically every stroke, and because our markets are basically 24 hours a day, that price will change based on what people are watching. And, for us, we're certainly rooting for playoffs. We're rooting for a couple of people coming down the stretch to really get that market close as exciting as possible.
And once again, it's free at this point. So you open up that account, do you get 100 shares per golfer as well? Is
Yep.
that how it works? Okay.
Exactly. So you'll get shares per golfer, and it's completely free to play. And like we said, we're trying to bring in this sponsorship model where brands get the opportunity to talk to our players during these games. We actually have a brand activation this coming Sunday. We're giving away over $3,000 worth of golf prizes with a brand called Chippo. For people who want to come, you spend the day on your couch, relaxing, watching, trading a couple of holes. And the next thing you know, before you know it, it's the 16th hole, and you're sort of in the top of this market, and you get to trade the volatility, which is the close of the U.S. Open.
Yeah, that's very cool. I'll be tuning into that this weekend. And for me, I don't know, at this point, I'm trying to figure out who I would even be picking. I think Rahm right now. I don't know.
Both of those guys, him and DJ, they've been just unbelievable. Colin has been unbelievable. A bunch of these guys have really started to take hold, as I don't want to call it the future, but certainly the guys that have been the focus of the 2020 season for sure.
I would have picked DeChambeau, but he's going to be driving bombs away on every hole. And in the U.S. Open, if you're not hitting fairways, and even though he does hit a lot of fairways, I don't know. I'm thinking Rahm pulls this out, but we'll see. We'll have to tune in this weekend. I might change my mind as well. But I want to get back to just kind of how this whole process works and just what the next steps are. And I know that, man, for the surge in retail trading has been really good for you. I mean, I know that when we first talked, you guys had like 2,000 accounts. Now you're up to almost 17,000 accounts. Traders going in there and trading right now, opening up free accounts. But I know for you guys, I mean, we're still at the beginning stages of this for you, and I'm excited to see where it goes from here. But what are the real next steps? I mean, I know that traders out there are going, yeah, it's cool to trade for prizes. I get it. That's fun. But at some point, the trader and all of us wants to have these as actual markets. Is that how you see it? And what's next?
Oh, trust me, there's no one who wants real money markets more than I do. But the reality is we have to sort of walk through this world that we live in. So for us right now, it's about building the biggest free-to-play user base that we can. It's about finding the right partnerships to ultimately help us get that reach and influence out there so that we can ultimately think about how we want to approach a real money gaming. And for us, I think we're in a unique position where we get to look at not only the gaming operators, right, the DraftKings and FanDuels of the world, but we would love to have the conversations with the TD Ameritrades, the Charles Schwabs, and the Robinhoods of the world, and really think about retail trading from a game perspective. Like, we want trading to ultimately be fun. And I think the format that we've created looks to do that, to where we've created an intuitive system where whether you're someone who trades every day or someone who just likes the idea of trading, you can come on, understand what we're trying to accomplish here with the software going against the game that you're watching, and ultimately create an experience that is entertaining first and really an enhancement and partner to watching live events. It's not only sports. We're going to be doing elections. We did Game of Thrones last year. We did Jeopardy, greatest of all times. For us, it's about creating experiences for people who are going to do this, or at least watch these events in real time. We live in this Netflix DVR world where sports or some of these marquee events are the last place that we all get to have the same experience at the same time. And for us, it's about creating a video game experience around that. And I think creating a live market is the perfect venue to do it.
Yeah, because really you're trading. This is not gaming.
This is not gaming. This is a trading platform that you ultimately have complete control in. So if you want to buy shares of Dustin Johnson because he hit the fairway and then ultimately sell him because he missed the green, that's there for you. And you are not only trading against what Dustin is doing on the course, you're trading against what everyone else is doing in the market. So much like you might think Tesla is way overbought, that's either right or wrong, and time will ultimately tell. But the market is never wrong, right? It can be wrong for a little bit of time, but in the long run, ultimately the market will decide what the price is, and you have to basically trade the market. And I tell people all the time, don't trade the game, trade the market. Because if you think a team is overbought, you should probably sell them, regardless of what's happening on the field.
Yeah, well, talk to us about how the winner comes into play now, because everyone starts off with 100 shares, so can you be short somebody as well? Like, let's just say that I liked Rahm, and Rahm starts off at, let's just say he starts off at 40, and I'm like, you know what? I think he's going to have a slow start, and he goes to 30, and then I buy it at 30, and then he starts to gain ground, and I'm looking at DeChambeau, and he's up really high, and I'm looking at the way he's playing, and I'm thinking, I think he's just way overvalued right now, and then I short some DeChambeau. Can I short? Can I long? Like, how is the winner determined?
So it's effectively long only. That being said, because we give you shares of every outcome and every player or every team, you're able to sell your portfolio in that player to remove all the risk you have against them. So that's going to drive the price lower. The concept of shorting is something that we debate internally all the time. I think as we get a little bit further down the line, or potentially when we get to a position when we're offering real money, we'll probably introduce the shorting aspect of it. We just think at this point it's probably too sophisticated a tool for the average casual player, and you ultimately then will likely be giving a huge advantage to people who understand the mechanism of shorting a stock, because I don't know that that comes natural to people, certainly not people who are familiar with financial markets. It's, like I said, it's something we debate all the time because people always ask, how can we get short? Because to the point you're seeing someone that's trading at 45 that probably has no business trading 45 and should be trading 30, and you are basically stuck with a long only position. So for us, it's about how do we create balance for the casual fan while also giving those more sophisticated traders the opportunity to really flex their advantage into the market.
So everybody gets the 100 shares. So essentially everyone is long every single, let's stick with the US Open here, every player out of the gates. Now it's a question of how you manage that 100 shares.
Exactly.
That's who determines the winner.
That's who will determine the winner. So basically, we're going to keep track of all your P&L. So if you're able to buy Dustin Johnson at 50, sell him at 60, you're going to make $10 a share there. Now, potentially, Dustin trades all the way back down to 40. You buy more. He rips right back up to 70. You get to now make $30 per share that you bought right there. And at the end of the game, we're going to do the same thing, but the winner of the tournament, his shares will be worth 100. So you're going to get a $100 value for every share that you own of the ultimate winner, and you're going to get a $0 value for every share you own of everyone who didn't win. So this is the ultimate trading game while you're watching live sports.
How does the price go up for like a DJ if everybody is long 100 of DJ and DJ comes out and he's 3 under, through 3? How does he go up in price if everyone's already long? Where does the new buying come in?
So everyone is also given a couple $1,000s in virtual currency. So you as a player can either use that bank, is what we call it, to buy more shares of DJ, or you can sell your shares in Rahm, or you can sell your shares in Tiger, and then use that proceeds that you just made from selling those shares and buy more DJ. The price is only created from the volume of buyers and sellers in the market. We have no say in what the price ultimately will be. So if there are more buyers, the price is going to go up. If there are more sellers, the price is going to go down. It's a day trading game, but we actually have created this market making algorithm that feels much more like a momentum trader. All we're doing is really creating the ability for you to make market orders consistently and then create the liquidity necessary to always have a bid and always have an offer available to you.
And with the surge in retail trading, I mean, obviously in the futures world, it's grown by unbelievable amounts with the micros this year, and I've talked a lot about that. I mean, I know that a lot of the people in the stock world have seen massive growth as well with the Robinhoods and even the Portnoys, which I think kind of bridges that in between to where he's a DDTG or whatever it is that he does, and then you have his influence in the sports world as well. And with you finding this niche, and I've said it ever since I've met you, it's just such an interesting thing because it really is bridging the gap between trading and sports. And how much we've talked about how much your numbers have grown from people getting involved, but how much has the retail trading surge have you noticed somehow they've found their way to you as well?
I mean, it's been incredible when you have Barstool talking about day trading every day. We're sitting here saying, I can't believe this is happening. We've been saying this for the past 2 or 3 years. And now all of a sudden everyone's locked down and everyone's all of a sudden opening up a Robinhood account and putting their stimulus checks in it and trading, right? For us, it's about really now having the validation that this idea is something that people want to do, and being able to really have that conversation that this is going to be much bigger a niche than people probably gave it credit for maybe a couple of years ago. For us who are in the space, right, in the trading space, I don't know that there's this middle ground. I think people either love or hate it, right? It's if you're a trader, you love this and you are glued to your screen and you are glued to CNBC or you are glued to understanding how the markets and why the markets are moving in a certain way. So if we're able to, like you said, create that bridge between trader finance into sports fan and sports betting, there's a direct correlation already to those people. We're just hopefully creating a platform that they now get to engage and enjoy what they were doing from 9:30 to 4. Now they get to do the same thing for Monday Night Football or for Game 7 of the NBA Finals.
Traders, we're going to pause for 30 seconds and we'll be right back. A question I constantly get is, what platform do I use to trade futures? Well, I use TT. They are the world's fastest commercially available futures trading platform. Learn more at tryttnow.com. RJO is a long-standing brokerage firm with personal broker relationships to help you learn and trade futures. To learn more, please visit rjofutures.com. Yeah, it just fits much more into what I do. Like, I don't gamble on sports games. I felt like there's, as someone who's a trader, I feel like I have absolutely no edge.
Me neither.
Super Bowl, I'll do pools and I do other things like that. But I do fantasy because I feel like there's skill there. And this is not fantasy at all. This is even more towards the trading side. And what I think is so unique about it is, as I kind of have already mentioned, is just that every day there's a new market. And for someone like myself and many of the other traders out there listening to this, we love price action. And this is now price action with game action. And, you're able to watch and you're anticipating how this game will evolve and ultimately end. And then now you're just trading it. It's just cool.
The idea of creating markets is something that we look at as we're limited by our creativity. Everything got locked down for COVID and we immediately started looking at esports. We just did an event with chess.com, who has 42 million users playing chess online. And we did live chess markets for one of their tournaments. So it's just really us being able to educate those people who might not be as familiar with the idea of trading, to then get this experience where it's almost like, I say it all the time, competitive Twitter. Everyone has an opinion on what's going to happen. We've just figured out a way to quantify it. And trading and markets are the most efficient way to do that. And, for us to be able to create this experience for people watching sports or people watching reality TV or people watching people play chess or any sort of esports that are out there, this is, I think where the future of this space ultimately goes. And it's going to be this convergence of markets and sports, because I think everything goes real time and everything goes peer to peer.
Absolutely, you nailed it. I mean, right now in the world that we live in, markets have never been more popular, and with, like we've talked about, this growth in the retail trader, just the growth in traders in general. I think that this is just something that's very cool. So before I let you go, we mentioned NFL, we mentioned golf, you even mentioned Game of Thrones. Talk to us about all of the different, and I know that there's a lot of things that you guys cover, but give everybody a good sense of all of the different markets that you guys have created now for people to go and trade at Ball Street Trading.
Yeah, I think one of the really interesting ones that will come out later this month is going to be the election markets. We're going to have around 10 different markets for all the battleground states, for obviously the White House, when there'll be a concession, all of the drama that certainly will unfold after November 3rd. We're going to try to capture that and make it as lighthearted as we can, that people get to have a little bit of fun, certainly in a very serious topic. We're going to really start to get focused on esports to finish out this year, whether that's Mario Kart, CSGO, League of Legends. Our focus, like I said, is really to create that opportunity for brands to ultimately speak to consumers who are now watching these games live. Because if you think about the experience as a viewer, you're there as a spectator. Whether you bet on the game or not doesn't really mean you're watching the game. For us, it's about offering the opportunity to have a parallel experience and to then create this ultimate competitive opportunity to flex both entertainment and ego. So for us, it's about trying to really be creative and stay ahead of the curve as much as possible about offering different types of markets, because there's really no reason to think that people only want to trade the NFL, people only want to trade the NBA. There's ability to create markets on almost anything. And if we can create unique liquid markets, we can basically touch almost everyone who wants to have this type of experience.
Fantastic idea. You guys know that I think this is super cool, and I'm definitely in support of everything that you guys are doing. Where can people learn more about Ball Street Trading? So give us a website, and also give us any social media that people can go and learn more about you guys.
The website is ballstreettrading.com. We probably are most active on Twitter, and that's Ball Street app. Feel free to hit us up. Feel free to reach out to me, Scott at ballstreettrading.com. I would love the opportunity to speak to as many traders out there. We're still very much trying to make improvements to the app itself to really understand exactly what we can do better. Our focus is over the next couple of months to really grow out our partnerships to where we can then really set ourselves up in 2021 to flood the platform with users. And we want to be able to have that experience as polished as possible for when that comes.
Well, everybody, I'm going to be parked on my couch this weekend as much as I can watching the U.S. Open. And maybe I'll see some of you guys trading on the Ball Street Trading app. And you guys already know I kind of mentioned Ron, but we'll see. That could change. All that could change. Scott, once again, my friend, thank you so much for coming back on the show. Thank you so much for speaking with me today on Futures Radio.
No, thank you so much. This is always great, and I really do appreciate the opportunity.
Thank you for listening to Futures Radio Show. If you enjoyed the show, please leave a review on iTunes. You can listen to all of our episodes on futuresradioshow.com, iTunes, YouTube, Google Podcasts, Spotify, and Stitcher.